Hello people of YouTube, it's Deephack here, and welcome to the live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed that, the final Harrier tutorial video on Field Ops. I've rather enjoyed the AI blowing himself up just at the end there. That was a little bit entertaining. Hello Lindsay, welcome to the stream. So I'm just going to do my usual channel update quickly. We have an announcement at the end of the live stream, and also I've got dotChuckles with me again today to help me with the DCS news. Yeah, I guess that is, like I say, the end of the Harrier tutorial series. Next week begins the very first tutorial video on the F-16 Viper, which I'm sure a few of you are quite excited about. Also, in the meantime, I'm going to be putting up a video about the the changes in 2.7 for the Harrier. So that will be kind of an addendum, because a couple of small things have changed. There's some new features and new capabilities in that. But that'll be coming, and then next week we have the F-16 Viper tutorial series beginning. So, without any further ado, let me bring in dotChuckles, and let's go over the DCS news.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, dotChuckles. A pleasure to have you aboard, as always.
Yes.
So, what wonderful things have been happening recently in the world of DCS?
Well, there's quite a bit, isn't there? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you think, we do this weekly, and you think, well, not much happens in a week, and then actually it turns out quite a bit happens in a week. So
that's the funny thing. Like, I went into my prep for this episode, and I was like, there's not going to be anything, and then I filled the page anyway.
Yeah. Well, crack on. Take us through it.
Alrighty. So we do have some new stuff here. In the newsletter that was posted on Friday, which was yesterday, in fact, Eagle have said that they're locking the Lua files for weapons. I guess this is a multiplayer thing. They've had enough of people cheating. I guess is probably the big thing. Not massively bothered about this, although, I guess you can always have servers that disable the integrity check. And I guess in those cases, you can still edit them, I would assume.
So, I mean, there are servers that require mods to add realism, which don't pass the integrity check. So, yeah, I can see why some servers, run without the integrity check, but it's a double-edged sword. I mean, are they locking them from change point of view, or are they locking them from being viewed, like, totally?
That's what's not clear. When they say locked, I would assume that it just means that it fails integrity check, but they're not really telling us much here, because there were a few servers in the past where, like, intentionally people had edited Lua files, and they were putting AMRAMs on Harriers, and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And of course, with the Lua files being unlocked, and if you joined a server that had what am I trying to say here? If you joined a server and you had edited Lua weapon files, you could probably do some crazy stuff and ruin the game for everybody else. But yeah.
Yeah, I wondered if it was like they were locking it from view, and like, is there some proprietary numbers there or something like that? But I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I guess we'll figure it out. And
good to see ED like giving some love to the multiplayer community.
Oh yes,
because we do appear to be a little bit of an afterthought.
Dedicated servers. Yes, and if we scroll down a little bit, we also have a bunch of stuff for the channel map. They mention a whole bunch of airfields here. I'm not clear whether or not these are new to the map or not. I'm assuming these are new, and they weren't in it previously. So we have East Church, we have Biggin Hill, we have Headcorn.
Biggin Hill.
Yes, that's a name that most people will recognise. High Halden as well. So the fact that they're pointing these out makes me think these are new. I don't actually have the channel map, so I don't know a great deal about this. But they look pretty damn good. A lot of really cool kind of grass and dirt airfields there. So yes,
Yeah, loving to see a UK map, but it's not the UK map I want. I would really love someone to do Snowdonia, so
Oh.
and South Wales, because then you get the low level training area, and you can do the Mac loop.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? That would be nice.
Yeah, well, like I say, I know it's not DCS, but Microsoft Flight Sim, flying the Mac loop in Microsoft Flight Sim is terrifying, especially in poor weather. So it'd be great to be able to do that in DCS.
Yes, that would be super cool. I'd be up for a bit of that. Sadly, no tornadoes. That would be the best thing to go down it with.
No. I know. But a new Eurofighter shortly.
Yes, and
Well,
that would be
maybe
pretty cool.
shortly, in a bit.
In a while.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what else have we got? New ground units. So they also included some images. Actually, I'll just jump straight to the images here. I already mentioned. Yes, I already mentioned these last week. However, I didn't have pictures at the time. In the new newsletter, they posted a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
So I already blew one of these up yesterday.
Yes, you did.
BTR 80, looking rather nice. They've updated the SA6, so here's the search and track.
That's so much better.
Yeah, like you can see the PBR texturing on this one.
Yeah, it's good to see these. I mean, these models are ancient, going right back to, like, I think Flanker 2.
Yes. Yes.
Or certainly Flaming Cliffs, at least. God.
And there's the launcher for the same.
Oh, that's... Yeah.
Looking very, very nice. And most importantly, a bus. We got two buses. I don't know if these are new models or if they're completely new units in the game.
No, there were buses in the game. So we can make this one, like, drive around an airfield in circles at, like, 50 miles an hour.
That would be cool.
And not stop,
That would be cool. And then, just it's the images of the channel maps that I was already going over there. So that's all, pretty damn cool, I would say.
Do we get a little model of Sandra Bullock to go on the bus as well?
Yes, exactly. What is it again? What's the speed? 55 miles?
Like, I can't remember what it was, but in Father Ted it was 4 miles an hour and it was a milk float.
Strangely, I was just about to mention Father Ted. I kind of feel like their version was better.
Oh my god, they were in the net.
Yes, indeed. Okay, on to the next thing. We had a hotfix released on Thursday there. I had a quick peek through this. I didn't really notice anything added exactly, mainly just bug fixes. One of the interesting ones for people running dedicated servers is now the server does not crash when you minimize the window, which was a funny one. But that's now gone, which is good.
Yeah. Oh, well, there we go. Handy.
Another thing to note is that they've apparently changed the version of the network protocol. So this is no longer compatible with older clients, which, is fine.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff I see here is really just hotfix stuff. You got missing textures replaced, updates to flight models, a bunch of strange things fixed. And a bunch of new keybinds for the Harrier.
I don't know if it was as so much as a hotfix as I think it was maybe stuff that just they didn't quite make it for the patch.
Maybe.
Because I don't think there's much there that was like fixed that was introduced with the major update. So it's
no, probably not.
Yeah.
So nothing massively exciting in here. Like I said, I didn't notice any additions. They were all just fixies, really. But still, nice to have some updates. Next, we have a development report for the MB339, which is in development by India Foxed Echo. I'm assuming that's supposed to be Foxtrot, but they're Foxed Echo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm confused by their name. But anyway, that aside, it looks really, really good. And it seems to have a huge variety of weapons. And one of the things that they're saying in the development note is that one of the things they're waiting for is Eagle adding additional weapons to the game that they're going to be making use of. So that's pretty cool, if you ask me. And of course,
it's a sexy plane. Yeah,
it's a very interesting plane. Very interesting. And of course, people do complain about the number of training aircraft in the game, and I understand that. I'm actually
yeah, that was my hot take, because it was when we were talking pre-show, it was like, it just does take me back to the time when the new flight model appeared, when we finally got the EFM and the from SFM and AFM and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And people still struggle to understand what the difference is. And all the third-party developers, when that opened up, when third-party first started, everybody made a trainer, because it was like, right, we need something simple with very published documentation that we can use to build a model on. And Digital Combat Simulator became digital and initial flight training simulator. DCS ab initio.
Yeah. And yeah, I totally understand that argument, but I kind of like training aircraft. You've generally got less power, less capabilities. They're really good fun for flying around airfields and doing things like VFR style flight.
They're very pure. Yeah, they're very pure. I mean, it's proper stick and rudder stuff. Yes. Okay, like later aircraft, later training aircraft that sort of have things like FADEC and sort of augmented flight controls and things like that aren't. But I mean, things like this, very pure, back to the rudiments of coordinated flight and building good airmanship, which is what a training aircraft should do. Yes, totally.
I enjoy flying these kinds of things. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the L-39. I'm a big fan of the C-101. I like these aircraft. So yeah, they had a quick development update. They don't have a release date as yet. And yeah, they mentioned that they're working with Eagle to integrate new weapons into the platform. So that's going to be quite cool. And yeah, the model is just looking really very, very nice. Yeah, I think
there's some nice texturing going on there.
Yeah, noticing the Argentinian flag, so maybe this could also be useful for the Falklands map. I don't know, did they have this aircraft in the Falklands campaign? I would assume its legs are too short, for one thing.
No, they didn't. But what it would closely represent is the Picaro, because the Picaro was built as a coin aircraft, and I think this is also can be used as a counterinsurgency role.
Yes.
Although I don't know what's happening if Razbam are producing a Picaro for the to go alongside the Falklands map. But
most recently, I heard that they were going to at least make an AI unit of it, and it might become a full fidelity module.
Well, okay. If it's only ever an AI model, this would probably, Cartoba's just said in chat, Picaro's coming from Razbom at some stage. Until that arrives, this is probably not a massively far away replacement. I would imagine it has similar, flight characteristics in terms of its speed and ceiling, and a similar kind of weapons loadout. That said, I'm not an expert in the Picaro, so but my feeling tells me that this would be a good interim option.
Yes. Yeah, I also don't know that much about it. It is clearly subsonic, and it has those big wingtip tanks, so I guess it must have somewhat decent range. But yes, probably not much more to say about that one. Next, we have, after 3 months of radio silence, the Kiowa Warrior, their screenshot of the week, or screenshots of the week, because some of these are multiple, has returned, which is rather exciting.
I'm honestly, I am super excited for this. It takes me back to the days of Jane's longbow, which had a Kiowa in it, and I loved flying that thing in Apache longbow from Jane's. It was, oh yeah,
It's looking nice. It's looking very nice.
yeah.
Now, of course, they've made no announcement of any kind, so this may or may not mean anything. But it has been a few months, and prior to that, they were posting screenshots every week, and then it just stopped for a number of months, and now it's back. It might just be, of course, that we have new clouds now, and they thought, "Ooh, the clouds are pretty. We should get some pretty pictures in."
I mean, it's looking pretty complete, and from the videos that are floating around, they did some tutorial, well, not tutorials, but explanations of things about sort of the startup, booting the helicopter up and getting the systems up and running. It's looking pretty complete, and the kind of bugs that you were saying, okay, well, this doesn't quite work, they were fairly minor. Like I've seen ED modules released in a worse state. So
F-16 anyone?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I just fingers crossed. I'm hoping we're close, because I want to fly it, because it's a deeply sexy helicopter.
Yes,
and it has and it has really good capabilities, and I think it'll, as we talked about last time we brought this up, it's going to really. Something I'd hoped for the Gazelle was, forward air controlling, never really materialized, but this is what this thing is designed for.
yes.
It's designed for finding targets, handing them off, and waiting for bigger things to come and obliterate them, and then running away and hiding. And that, to me, is really interesting gameplay.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
Actually, I flew the Gazelle for a while in the Virtual Air Force as a range controller. And it was really, really fun, but of course, without a laser designator, without an infrared pointer, without even the ability to generate coordinates from what you're looking at in the camera, it was a little bit limited. Like I tended to just pop Willie Pete and say, okay, that's your mark, go attack something. Got a message from Carr. Did you see the video from the helicopter flight systems engineer explaining the characteristics of the Gazelle? It's not confidence-inspiring for the Kiowa. I think Polychop have acknowledged that not everybody's a big fan of the flight model in the Gazelle, and that they are putting a lot of attention into that in the Kiowa. So I wouldn't necessarily use the Gazelle as your point of comparison. The other thing to keep in mind is that it's very, very hard to tell what is the flight model and what is the fly-by-wire in the Gazelle, because you never really have direct control over the helicopter.
Yeah, and I mean, my point of reference for the Gazelle is I've flown in one twice, and I had my hands on the controls for about 2 minutes. And what it was from that experience many years ago, the DCS version was nothing like it, but it was the British version that didn't have the stability augmentation system.
Of course, that's right, because the British one, the British version didn't include any of that.
Correct. Yeah,
because in the French one, you really are never properly in control of the helicopter. It's always doing something via the stability augmentation.
So I have to admit, I am definitely not an SME, but from the brief experience that I had with it, it's nothing like what it is in DCS, but then it wasn't different, I guess. Actually, it's probably a totally irrelevant comparison. I retract.
Fair enough. So yes, there's not much more to say, because they, Polychop haven't said anything about the Kiowa, but we now have some more pictures, which is nice. Lastly, before we move on to a slightly different section, I've got 2 free modules for us to take a look at, Chuck. 2 free modules.
Free, that is a price I'm prepared to pay. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So let me just pop this on. We don't have any audio here. But first we have VNAO Simulations T45. So once again, a trainer. Of course, we all want more trainers. Let me maybe skip this forwards a little bit and see if we get to see something cool. Oh, there we go. It's some T45.
It's a Goshawk. Yeah.
So this is available now to download. I think this trailer was actually made a few months ago. and the module is now downloadable from a Dropbox somewhere.
Uh-huh.
You'll see it linked on their Facebook group. I'll probably pop a link in the show notes. Apparently, it's pretty damn good from people commenting who've tried it out.
Right. Well, I'm a big fan of the Hawk, and the Goshawk is basically a Hawk that's been navalized, and had some and had better avionics put in. It's kind of like the navalized equivalent of, is it the Hawk T? I forget.
Is it T1A?
Whatever the new. Yeah, whatever the new Hawk is that we brought in, it's the navalized version of that, basically. I think the avionics suite is similar. I could be wrong. So again, I'd whack RAF black training on that and just pretend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, our Hawk does have an arrestor hook on it, but I mean, it's designed for catching the rag when you run off the end of the runway.
yes, absolutely. Carr is saying that it can't possibly. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you got there first.
Yeah. You can't be saying that it's worse than the VNAO one. Well, that's not a hard bar to clear, and you're not being negative. You are speaking the truth, sir. That was a debacle.
Yes.
I think a lot of that was perhaps. I'm not going there.
I think that's a subject that's been talked to no end.
Yeah.
One thing I will say though is the VEAO Hawk had a very, very pretty external model. So that's something.
Yeah.
But this looks very promising, and I like the fact that it's a more modern Hawk with the kind of glass cockpit. That looks very, very interesting. It'd be interesting to see how much of this is modelled. I would imagine it's a kind of early access at this stage, given that they're just dishing it out of a Dropbox. But this footage is at least a couple of months old, and even in this footage, it looks rather nice.
I mean, it's amazing what these developers are doing and giving away for free. And I mean, I don't know if they're doing this to kind of gain attention from ED to do something that might be a paid module later. I don't know, but I mean, good on them. It looks amazing. I've not I've not played with it yet, but I am going to after this.
Yes.
Yes. It's good on them for looking that out. Yeah.
A certain chap in the VAF called Frantic Stone is dying to get his hands on this bad boy.
Yeah. No, it's good. Interestingly, just talking about the RAF version of that, it's I was watching a video from the front cockpit of a training sortie with that, and the capability it has to simulate ground threats. The instructor can go into the computer in the back and he can go, I am now putting an SA-6 on that hill.
Yes.
You're engaged. Oh, you're dead.
I think you actually saw me. So I think you sent me the link to that video and I watched it.
Yeah. It's amazing what they can do with it. Yeah,
it's nice stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next free module that we have. It's the Super Tucano. This one,
another trainer.
Yes, although of course this aircraft is more commonly employed as a kind of light CAS aircraft.
Yes,
I am very excited about this one because I find turboprops very interesting, and this aircraft has quite advanced avionics apparently, and quite a range of weapons it can employ. But yeah, this is, again, I think it's kind of an early access. I don't think they've finished development of it. It's still in heavy development, but it is a free module, and you can jump in there and install it for free and play around with it, and it looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not looking as far along as the Goshawk, but I mean, it's again for the princely sum of nothing.
Yes,
you can't complain.
One thing I'll add though is that again, this is slightly out of date footage. I think this footage is
right.
Again like a couple of months old, and they have supposedly been advancing quickly. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the Royal Air Force had a history with the Tucano, and unfortunately, it killed several air crews, I believe, because the prop kept flying off it.
Doesn't sound particularly good.
No, it was grounded for quite a while because of it, and there was, I think, Several times the crew had to abandon it, and I think there was a couple of times where their crew were killed as a result. So, but yeah, it's still a sexy plane, and again, I would take it and slap the black RAF training skin on it and
yes,
fly about with it.
Of course, we have a black training skin on the L-39.
yes, the MAF skin is heavily inspired by the RAF training skin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so that's the free modules. Next on the agenda, I have Moose. I wonder if you could tell us some things about the Moose that's loose about this server.
Yes. Oh God. So I've been doing a lot of mission work. And anybody that has tried to do anything advanced in the mission editor in DCS will have come up against the why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Why and fiddled around with flags and done all sorts of annoying workarounds. But there is something designed for us to be able to create much more dynamic, much more interesting missions, which is a framework called Moose, which is, I think, stands for Mission Object Orientated Scripting Environment. I think.
Sounds like they came up with the name first and then decided to kind of backronym it.
Backronym, yeah. So if you Google DCS Moose, you will find it. And I am not a programmer. I'm not it's not what I do for a living. So it's been interesting for me because I've basically had to start from the ground up and learn how to write Lua code and all that kind of stuff. And it's very dry, but the results that you can get from it are incredible. Because the problem with Lua script is that it's like you give it an instruction, it does that, and then it moves to the next line, and then it does that, and then it moves to the next line, and it does that, and it runs through it, and then once it gets to the end, that's it. But what you can do with Moose is you can bring in something called object-orientated programming, and I know this is really, really dull, but basically what it lets you do is it lets things effectively start and keep going and refresh and do other things based on information it receives. So it lets you do some fantastic things. So for example, in the mission that I was creating, we now have combat air patrol flights that take off from a base and go to their little zone and they do their combat air patrol. And then there is an airborne early warning radar that is looking into enemy territory. And if it detects anything crossing a border, which you can establish, so, your cat flights won't just go off and shoot everything down. It'll wait until, it crosses a border, and then it will vector the cap flights on. And if they run out of fuel, they return to base and refuel and come back, or they go to a tanker. And if they get shot down, more aircraft go and fill up their slot. Now, to try and do that in the mission editor in DCS, it's nigh on impossible. But with Moose, it's one little block of code that you go, I want this aircraft to be this squadron, and I want it to fly at this altitude, and then return to base to refuel and shoot anything down that crosses the border if it's within 100 miles. And it's done. And
it's been a while since I looked at it. But one of the things that struck me the most when I first fired it up and played around a bit was that it's such a huge library of predefined functions, and
yes.
all of them are really quite advanced. 'Cause, if you want to do things like have a tanker on your map, they have a tanker function, and it will spawn a tanker, and you can give it all the parameters for where you want that tanker to be, and how often it should refuel, and all kinds of stuff. It's super impressive.
Yeah. So, for example, the other thing that we implemented was an integrated air defense zone. So when you put in the real world, when you have surface to air missile sites, they don't have their radars on all the time. They sit silently. And when HQ gets information from airborne early warning, when it knows that an aircraft is, that's within the engagement zone of that SAM system, it then tells that SAM system to turn its radar on, paint the target, and shoot it down. So you can be happily flying along going, oh no, there's no threats here. And then suddenly you get, SA-6 spike and you're launched on almost immediately, which is how it would be in the real world. Now, trying to do that in the DCS mission editor, you could do it, but it would be a nightmare. Whereas with Moose, it's 4 or 5 lines of code that is written for you, and you just put your numbers in, and say it's this unit, and this unit. So, I mean, it really lets mission designers do some incredibly complex things for not much overhead. And I have scratched the surface on what this can do, because I'm very much learning by doing. But with the work that I've done, I can already see it's incredibly powerful, and the amount of kind of missions that you could come up with this and have them be really dynamic. So anybody that is mission designing in DCS, if you don't know about Moose, get on this.
Do yourself a favor.
Tons. There is tons of support. They have a Discord, and I ran into some problems, and I jumped on the Discord and was like, hey, this is doing this thing, why isn't this working? And 3 or 4 people went, oh, have you tried this, have you looked at that, and let's have a look at your code, and looking at it and basically helping me out. So and I'm an idiot, basically. I'm a total idiot. So, and I've gone from knowing nothing about this to actually producing something that is really quite, this is dynamic and feels intelligent when I'm flying in it, inside of a week. So, you can do it too.
Yes. And the library functions are great. They've got stuff for troop transport. They've got stuff for tankers, for AWACS, for integrated air defense, for CAP. You should look at the website. The wiki they have is crazy, just the absolute massive stuff.
Yeah.
You can simulate quite a lot. It's really pretty cool.
And you can have mission dispatchers that you log in with, and it goes, right, there are these targets, pick a mission, go and do it. But the thing is it generates it dynamically. So if you spawn ground units, the dispatcher goes, oh, there's a ground unit, there's a battle going on here, we need to send some combat air support, and then creates a mission for you to effectively log into in the multiplayer environment and then go and do stuff. It's incredible. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. But why were you doing mission editing? What was it you were working on?
Right. So here we get to our announcement. So one of our members in the Virtual Air Force has very kindly donated a very powerful server in a data center somewhere in London. So shortly there will be a Virtual Air Force dedicated server available to the public.
Deephack approved.
For you, yes, for you lovely people to come and play with. And the reason why I've been deep in scripting and mission development is I have been creating the default mission that will be loaded onto this server. That should be fairly persistent. So you will be able to log on to our server. If there is nobody on the server, there will still be stuff for you to do. Because whilst your side has a combat air patrol, the other side also has CAP that you can go and intercept. You will be able to go after their airborne early warning, which will then degrade their CAP's ability. You can go after their command centers. You can try and take down their tankers. So even if there's nobody on the server, there's going to be stuff for you to do. So the air side is finished. So If you're on the red side, you'll be able to fly out of Incirlik because, out of Latakia, because we are basing this server on the Syria map. And if you are on the blue side, you'll fly out of Incirlik, and there will be carrier operations as well. So we've got the George Washington out in the Mediterranean, as well as the Stennis. So if you don't have the supercarrier mod, you'll still be able to launch off a carrier, because we wanted to make sure that you didn't have to spend a vast amount of money on modules to be able to enjoy the server. So
yes,
you should be able to go in pretty stock here.
I toured the server for the first time last night, and I had a fantastic flight. It was really, really good.
Yeah. So if you own the F-18, F-16, Mirage, JF,
you've got the old Jeff on there.
The Jeff will be on there.
Nice.
Part of Red 4. Any of those, if you any of those modules, you will be able to fly. Yeah. And yeah, like I say, it's designed that if there's nobody on the server, there's still going to be tons of things for you to do. Because now the air side is finished, I'm going to be moving on to the ground side. So the plan is that there will be a dynamic generated ground conflict going on in Aleppo and Raqqa, which will be different. So in theory, it should be a long time before you see the same kind of, ground picture. And you'll be able to check in with a command center, which will, assign you either, a battlefield interdiction mission or a CAS support mission. And, you'll have to fight your way through the cap and the integrated air defense zone, carry out your mission and get back. And obviously, if there are other players on the server, they can either go in airquake over the med, or they can try and stop each other's
Missions,
aircraft from intervening at in the ground battle. And yeah, it's set up with the border. So if you're taking off from Turkey and you cross into Syrian airspace, you'll be intercepted by AI cap flights. And I think I'm still sort of experimenting with AI balancing. So as more players come onto the server, the cap flights spawn less and less. So if we've got 15, red 4 and 15 blue 4 pilots on the server, the AI caps won't spawn, basically. But, the tankers and the airborne warning will spawn. And we've also integrated SRS, Simple Radio Standalone.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah. So you don't have to do anything. If you log on to the server, SRS will automatically launch and connect you. You don't even have to do anything. If you've got SRS installed, you'll have voice comms on the server.
Yes.
So Kartoba, any plans for a GCI script? Yes, there is. That in fact it's implemented but not turned on, because we have a little problem with the cap flights right now spamming the GCI channel. But yes, you can speak to AWACS, you can get your bogey dope, you can get your picture, but there will be an HQ command center that you can log in with, and it will tell you, here's where stuff is, and basically give you a GCI mission. So yes, that is planned. It's implemented. Until I can smash the bug that means that you're getting constantly spammed with flight reports from the AI cap, it's off at the moment. But yeah. So that is the plan, and it is a very powerful box we've got. We've not soak tested it yet, but in theory, I think we could handle up to between 80 and 100 clients on this box.
Wow. That's rather impressive.
Yeah, or so it's either that or we can run multiple servers. One of the two. It depends if we want one big server with like the world on it, or whether we want to have multiple servers with player versus environment kind of mission or PvP, or do we want to run do we want to run a Syria campaign, a Persian Gulf campaign, a World War II Channel Islands map server, which could be quite good fun. Actually, that would be a lot of fun.
Could be interesting,
especially with the new clouds. Yeah. But yeah, that's what's going on. So expect to see the VAF server popping up for public use probably in the next week or so. It is in the server listing at the minute, but it is passworded because we're still doing some testing. But I think once I've got some kind of rudimentary ground capability on there, we're probably happy to push it live.
And if you do log into there next week when it's up, if it's up, you don't be surprised if you see Deephack and dotChuckles on that server and all the other VAF people.
Yeah, and it'll be a challenge. Like I say, with the AI caps, and I think with the integrated air defense system that we've got in there, it's certainly. The airspace is deadly. If you cross over the border, bad things will happen, and especially like the system in Moose that I've implemented is called Mantis, and it is pretty intelligent. It will keep the it will keep the surface to air missile threats quiet until you are in their engagement zone, and then turn on and engage you. They also have SHORAD defenses that will stay silent until you launch anti-radiation missiles, at which point the SHORAD system comes online and starts to try and knock down your anti-radiation missile. So I'm thinking Wild Weasel with F-16s is going to be a big thing on this server, trying to knock down the the enemy air defenses to let you kick the door in to go and
or alternatively, you're going to have
to
do reconnaissance and actually get coordinates for these units, and then try and hit them at range.
So some are known. So for example, as in the real world, there's an S-300 system at Latakia, and then at a couple of the Syrian air bases, there's SA-6 and SA-3 surface to air threats. So those are known because they're big fixed sites, but there's other stuff out there that are mobile that you won't know about. Oh, and they move about, by the way. So
of course.
Yeah. So it should be quite a dynamic environment, so that if you log on, a week later, you're going to get a different war, basically, or certainly not the one that you got the week before. That's the hope. That is the hope. Because it'd be good to have people on our server and meeting us, and just having fun.
I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun just to engage with members of the public and to fly together. I think that'll be really cool. And I will almost certainly be doing some videos recorded on the server too. And I'm sure that dotChuckles will do things like that too, and other members of the squadron. Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, the next little while could be really exciting for DCS. I mean, I'm super excited for the Kiowa. That's going to be great. Yeah. Which is already in our map. There's a little forward edge of battle area base set up with Apaches and Kiowas, and all I have to do is change it from AI to client when those modules come on, and then people can be taking helicopters out and doing stuff. So
yep.
It's all ready and waiting.
I flew over it last night and it's looking really nice. I'm most excited.
Yeah, and I spent about 2 or 3 days just setting up a living airbase in Serlik, and I will be doing the same with Latakia. That's one of the things where there's things like there's a C-17 with troops loading onto it, and other stuff knocking around. So
yeah, it's looking really nice. Thank you for your efforts, sir. I'm sure that many of us will enjoy spending our time there.
Yeah, it's I've definitely lost the last few bits of my remaining hair trying to make this damn thing work. So.
Well, it's a sacrifice I was willing to make.
yeah.
Well, I think that's pretty much it, I believe, for the DCS news this week, although that last one was more VAF news. I have one last special announcement to make, and that is I understand that a certain young lady has her birthday today, so I want to say happy birthday, Riley, and hope you're having a good one.
Happy birthday, Riley.
Yes. Save me a slice of cake. Cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it. As always, I will most likely play a little bit of Tarkov if I get a chance during the week. I am working on the Harrier 2.7 update video, just showing off the small additions to that module in 2.7. And then next week we begin with the F-16C tutorial videos. Most exciting.
Yeah, so. And I think my week is mostly going to be mission editing and playing Valheim on stream. My Viking Nincompoops series will continue.
Yes, Valheim is really cool, and I'm going to watch. Watch your videos because I'm sure it's very entertaining.
Tuesday night, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Two idiots playing Valheim.
The link to dotChuckles' YouTube channel is in the show notes, but I believe you're doing this on Twitch. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't really do much with YouTube. I'm much more on Twitch, so I'm dotChuckles on Twitch, DOT, and then Chuckles.
Okay. I'll also post that link then as well, the Twitter channel in the show notes. So go ahead and follow dotChuckles on Twitter.
Twitch, not. Twitch, not Twitter. Although I'm on Twitter as well. You can follow me everywhere.
I'm such an old man. I'm saying the wrong thing. Yes. I need to say Twitch. Twitch.tv. Yeah. That's where you should follow him. You absolutely should. Yes, so that brings us to the end of the show. And so that leaves, all I have to say now is, thank you very much for watching if you have been. Please subscribe, comment, like. That's a super big help to me and to the channel. And do the same for dotChuckles, who's this way. And fly safe, and I'll see you all next time. Ta-ta.